Okie dokie. So, cheers for coming on the show. Obviously, we really appreciate it as we're saying its infancy, but we're like 7 deep now, and the amount of people that have said yes so far is just incredible. If I'm honest with you. So, like I said, the way that this works is every guest that we have on the show, we ask the same or very similar questions about how you've got to your place within the industry right now. Obviously, we have athletes, coaches, businesses, that sort of thing, and it's mainly for people that want to do it, whether it's the younger generation or people our age, like in their 30s, that are really interested in bodybuilding but don't understand some of these routes of progression and how you can achieve what it is that you're looking for.
Yeah, sure.
So, out of all the shows done so far, we haven't had a single story that's the same. Okay. So it's pretty interesting to ask this and find out the answers. So,
what
was that, mate?
I said, I hope I don't disappoint.
I'm sure you won't. We've all watched the YouTube videos, so we to be fair, we already pretty much know everything we're going to ask, but it's still going to be a fun one. So we'll pretty much just dive straight into it. Jason's got the first question, which is the deepest, I think.
Yeah. By the way, Jason, before we start, I'm jealous of the hair, man.
Oh, it's all coming off next week, man. This was a year. This is a year back to my 14-year-old days.
Why are you chopping it off?
Girlfriend.
Fuck off.
Beard's going as well, but I'm keeping the mustache. Keep the mustache.
I hope it's worth it.
Oh, will be. She'll watch this, so it is going to be, Hannah. Right, mate. Just a kind of normal, generic one. What got you interested in bodybuilding, and how did you get started?
Well, two things really. One, my best friend at the time when we left sixth form college said, fancy joining a gym. And I remember us walking on the local park in matching Reebok vests. And that seemed really cool to try and get a good set of arms popping out the vest. So we joined the gym at 16 together. But my uncle was a bodybuilder. So I was introduced to the bodybuilding lifestyle at a young age. I think I went to a show when I was about 13 years old. And at the time, you're that young, you don't really know what's kind of in front of you. But I remember him posing to my mum at the time. We went round to visit, and he was 2 weeks out from a contest or something, came downstairs in his posing trunks. And obviously, a 13-year-old lad was a bit like, I don't know whether I should want to look at this or not. But a massive part of me was in awe of what he'd done with his physique. So I guess I used my uncle as a bit of a role model, really. Along with, I remember having a sleepover with the best friend that I joined the gym with, and we watched Pumping Iron at the sleepover, as I'm sure many of us have done.
Yeah.
And that was it, really. That was where training started.
Sweet, man. So how did it go from sort of joining the gym and just liking the arms popping out to, right, I'm gonna have a fucking go at this. I'm gonna.
It was really just a gradual progression from there. So, the level of seriousness was from literally just training from enjoyment, training for the pump before the nights out, to training to the point where I was playing a lot of football when I was younger. At one point, there was a decision to make, because I knew that training and football together wasn't quite a good fit in terms of growing, because obviously football, being quite an intensive sport on the cardiovascular side, was burning the muscle that I was putting on. Being a big guy as well, obviously I need to eat a lot of food. So doing a sport like football, it was making it just impossible to grow any real tissue. So I think I was in my early 20s when I said, that's it. It's got to be one or the other. And I chose the gym because I wanted to grow a physique more than I wanted to pursue football, which I was good at, but I was never going to be a professional. So, and at the time, let me say this as well, I didn't know I was going to be a bodybuilding professional, but I just wanted to see where I could take my physique.
I'm just glad we've got another person that started with football. You're the first guy that's actually similar to me, where you grew up playing football.
Well, I think I have football to thank for the legs, to be fair. I'm a big believer that you set your genetic makeup set at an early age from what we do at school So specific sports lend well to certain habits and certain attributes that people have. Yeah. And I definitely think that playing football and all the sprinting and kicking was what gave me a decent foundation for the quads.
Mm.
So thank God for that. Didn't help with the fucking calves, but the quads.
Fucking hell. Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense, really. I've never thought about it in that way. I did fuck all sport when I was a kid, other than maybe skateboarding, which I don't think sort of athletic attributes coming from that. But there's a lot of people in the industry that did like basketball, that sort of thing, which again would lend itself to, you know, the jumping and the moving backwards and forwards. So that's pretty cool, man. Okay. Just an add-on to that, because I'm interested. What did you do before you became full-time bodybuilding and, you know, owned a gym and all the rest of it? What was the day-to-day?
Loads of stuff. So when I was at college, I was working in a restaurant. I did the restaurant thing for quite a number of years, actually, and kind of worked my way up to a managerial level. I remember my first hourly wage was about £4.80 an hour. So like the minimum wage now is about £9, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, £4.80, probably less, £3 something. You know, when you're like under 16, they're fucking robbing you, aren't they? So, yeah, I worked at that restaurant for a while because that was a chain. So I got various jobs at various locations. One was Risley, where I'm from, but there was another one like Loughborough way, and another one as well in like Mansfield. So that was, I kind of developed a good relationship there with the owner. So that was kind of the job where if I was ever out of work, I knew I had a job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was that. From there, I actually went and joined. I'm just trying to get the link of the route of jobs properly, like in chronological order. I went to work in a machining factory where it was called like CNC machines. I don't know if
Yeah.
Basically, putting a piece of wood on a machine that was programmed to cut it in a certain way, and I'd put these planks of wood on this machine, press a button, and take them off. And you know, the job that a lot of people have probably done in their time and probably still do. From there, I joined the police force. I was actually a police officer for 2 years. I don't think everybody knows this, but I was young, still going out drinking, getting in trouble, as you do as a youngster. And I actually got arrested whilst I was a police officer for fighting drunk.
Oh, no.
So that didn't look very good on a record. And I knew when I was applying for the police that my dad, who isn't on my birth certificate because I wasn't married to my mother when they made me, wasn't particularly clean in terms of his record with the police. So I thought, it's not going to make any difference. I just won't put him on my application form. I don't want the hassle of them linking him to me and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, 2 years down the line, it came out that they'd been a link between me and him. At the same time I was arrested, I was being investigated for not putting him on my application form as well. So I was advised to leave.
It's still a hell of a thing to do, though, going through all the training, becoming a police officer, and you know, it's people sort of spend a lot of time doing. Did you enjoy it when you were doing it, or?
I enjoyed parts of it. I enjoyed the chasing around in the car and running after people and handcuffing them and getting in fights legally. But the paperwork side of it, fuck that. And what they get paid is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, long story short, it was a good experience, but I was too young for the job, and came out of that and started being a car salesman. So I was a decent car salesman, but I had a job in between that I missed out. I was an accident insurance salesman. The person there said, Jamie, talk with a smile on your face because people buy off people they like. So that was my top sales tip. Always talk with a smile. And that was all I did as a car salesman. I didn't do any of this bullshit, oh, this car's got this gimmick and that gimmick and this is why you need to buy it. I just tried to make them like me. And I found that if they like me, they generally bought the car. So I was trying to be nice, trying to be myself.
You answer the questions they've got, and if they want a car, they'll buy a car.
There you go. Yeah.
I can imagine quite a lot of the women would come to you to buy their cars.
Well, believe it or not, the old ladies, yes.
Yes. I get that as well.
There was a car sales, and then there was a fireman, which was like the longest career, really. That was 7 years I was a fireman. And that was in the fire service. That's where I think just joining and doing my training, I was doing my first contest.
Mm-hmm.
So as you can imagine, through the fire service is where this turned from really a hobby to I want to do this as a profession. I think I joined the fire service in 2012. 2015 is when I won the British Championships to super heavyweight.
Right, okay.
So in the middle of the fire service job, that's when it went from being, I just like to compete to, I'm not too bad at this. I want to become a professional. And in 2015, that's when I first had thoughts of becoming a professional and making it a profession. In 2017, I left the fire. I was going to call it fire police then, only because my friend used to call it the fire police as a joke. But the fire service, I left them in 2017. That's when I had the opportunity to open up the gym with the wife. We both left our jobs and just went in full bore on that. Yeah.
And you've recently changed that, haven't you, to a private gym?
We have, yes. So again, it just goes to show really that the path that I've kind of gone on has been led by how seriously I've taken the bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And how my goals have become just more serious and bigger. And with that has made me kind of forced me to choose really certain decisions I've had to make.
Yeah.
So at the first instance, opening up the gym, that was manageable because I was an amateur and I was chasing my pro cars.
Yeah.
When I first opened the gym in 2017, I was doing 8-hour weeks. And that was why that year I took off competing, because I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
2018 and in 2017, the gym was really successful because I was there a lot. In 2018, I wasn't there as much physically and in my headspace because I was zoned in on competing, and I competed 4 times that year and got my pro card in September. But my career was like fantastic. My personal life was going fantastic. Everything for me was going fantastic, except the gym, because I was there less. That actually had a slump, because it turns out good staff are really hard to find.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine.
We did find good staff in the end, but it wasn't always the case. So we had a few rocky years with the gym trying to manage my personal goals and the goals for the business.
Yeah.
Obviously, fast forward COVID, I had the ability to train by myself in the gym in the first lockdown for an extended period of time. And I just thought, long story short, fuck me, this is fucking really good.
Yeah.
No distraction, the ability to focus on my own training. Imagine like a little bit of Dorian Yates-esque, Flex Lewis-esque situation. That then became, this has got to happen for real, long term. And that's why I made the decision after several lockdowns later. Sorry, guys, we're not opening the gym again to the public. It's now going to be a private facility.
I mean, it makes sense, to be honest. At the end of the day, your career, and your career within bodybuilding, that's the important thing for you right now. And at the end of the day, if you've got alternative avenues of income and you can afford to essentially own a unit with equipment in that you've probably already paid off many years ago because you've had it, that why not, use that to your full advantage and sort of kit it out exactly for what you want rather than the masses, and just sort of take it all the way. So
it was a no-brainer in the end. I didn't want to upset the people that have been coming to the gym for many years. So I did try and explore other avenues, in the sense that me and my wife thought, we'll find another unit somewhere else, kit it out again and start afresh as a private facility and sell this gym. But as you said, everything was paid off there. It owes nothing. We've made our investment back. The rent's cheap. If we were to find somewhere else, you're looking at probably 50 grand to kit it out, and God knows how much a month rent. So in the end, we had to just make the decision, which was the best one, to just stay there.
Yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, I know, because I saw your story when you were saying about there were some people that weren't particularly happy about it, but I think that's from their selfish point of view. There's plenty of other gyms out there, and you know, I've not personally been to your gym, but I'm sure there's others that are kitted to the same amount. It may not be in the local 5-mile vicinity of where they are, but I'm sure there's plenty of others. So you've got to do what's best for you, and it removes that stress of it.
Yeah,
bad over COVID and whatever. So,
and bodybuilding itself is a short career. So
Yeah.
the mindset was, I need to do what's the best now, where I can make the most amount of progress in the quickest amount of time.
Yeah.
Without regret as well. If I didn't do that and look back in 5 years' time, what would I have said on which topics? What if?
Yeah.
I didn't want to be that.
If I decided to have 5 years in the gym on my own, just with my training partners and, you know, various other people, then where could I go? Which I think we'd all do the same in that position. So leading on from that, then the next question, Jason, was the one about future goals.
Yeah. What's your future goals within, like, obviously competition and on the business side of things? Obviously, Olympia this year. It's coming, I think it's October. Do you think you'll qualify for this year's Olympia?
Well, I've already got 2 points. I got 2 points on the British.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a head start. I plan on doing Portugal, which is just under 16 weeks. And I think I can place well there. I don't know who's doing the show, but I feel as though last year it was about breaking the top 10. I did that, and then I broke the top 6. Obviously, people are going to say that the lineups weren't as strong because of COVID, but there were some decent people on stage at the British, and I came 4th, so I was really happy with that.
Yeah.
I do feel as though my goals this year have kind of stepped up a little bit in terms of I'm now thinking top 6 and top 3s.
Yeah.
I'm not at the level yet. I'm very level-headed. I'm not thinking show wins yet. I think that's next year. But I definitely think if I can wrap up some top 6, top 3s, I'll get enough points. I'll get to this year's Mr. Olympia. The shows I plan on doing after Portugal, there's Spain, which is like a month later, I think, which is the one in Benidorm, because the Alicante one I did last year is later in the year in November.
After the Olympia.
Yeah, after the Olympia. And then before the Olympia qualification shuts off, there's also Vancouver and Tampa that I'm going to do as well.
Right.
Well,
So you're going to go and stay out there when you do the 2 shows? Are they close together, or are you coming back in between?
I've not kind of sorted that out yet, but if they are quite close together and it makes sense and I've got somewhere to stay and train, like a little hub, I'll definitely do that. I'm not tied down to one place. My wife's very supportive. I'm sure the kids wouldn't miss me for a few weeks. So yeah, that'd be an option. And then obviously the wild card that's been thrown in the mix, if I qualify for the Olympia, is the Arnold Classic in October, which is the week before.
Yeah.
Now a lot of people
in the UK.
Yeah,
I saw that.
A lot of people would say you can't do a show the week before the Olympia, but I guess it just depends on what you want to achieve at the Olympia.
If it's for experience, I guess it'd be
Yeah.
worth it. That's what this year's about, is just getting on the stage and being against these people that next year you want to be winning against. Then I guess it's not a bad thing at all, is it?
It could be quite good, as like, because you see a lot of people that maybe they'll do Olympia and not do too well, and then maybe just after the Olympia they'll have a better physique. So it might just be that the Arnold is going to be the tester, and then anything you need change in that week, you can I make the slight changes.
I think so. I think it could work out. I remember in 2015, the best thing I did in that prep was I got stage ready, and then I went to watch the Olympia in September, which was 2 weeks out from the finals at Nottingham. When I was in Vegas, I had a cheat meal every day. And I came back, I was 7 pounds or 10 pounds heavier, fuller, but carrying some water. But then obviously the water came off and I looked fantastic.
Yeah.
There's different
trying different things.
I think I've done it so many years now. I know that the biggest thing that is going to hurt your physique is stress and tiredness. So my plan in between these shows is to have probably a week off training and dieting, to an extent, obviously. But I'm very mindful that you need to give your body and mind time to rest in between shows, where some people are just fucking keep going. By the end, they just look tired and their body's not responding.
Yeah.
So do you have a like a limit of shows that you do in a year? Like, you get some people that will do like 9 shows over a year or 7 shows. But what is your limit of how many shows in a year so you've got that rest time and that your body can recuperate?
I'm trying to think that the busiest year I've had is probably 4 shows. And that was 2018. And in September, my body had just started to give up.
Yeah.
But that year I did take DMP, which I've documented that I'd never take again. Fucking killed me off. And I did run flat and super lean for a long time. I would do different things again that I've just discussed. So I think I could probably do 6 shows if they were spaced correctly.
Yeah. Plenty of rest in between.
Yeah. I think it depends really how hard you push your body, how lean you are. You can't repeat your best physique week on week on week. So again, it probably just depends on how good you want to look as well and what your expectations are.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we've had literally no one has said the same person, not even us two agree on it, no one so far. So who is your number 1 physique of all time? It doesn't matter what era, it doesn't matter whether they're the biggest, the smallest, whatever. Who do you look at and go, that's what a body should be?
Dennis Wolf. I like Dennis because he's taller and he's just got that frame that makes you say, fucking hell, yeah.
That's what
Josh
Josh
said. Lats, but I just used to love his physique. And I went to Olympia and I watched him, and the only thing I remember about his physique was the fucking hamstring drop. I was like, mate, please give me some.
That's what Josh Maley said.
Yeah, a certain Josh mentioned you in that list when we asked him that question as well. I think.
Yeah, he did as well, yeah.
I need to watch this episode because I'm not get some ammo on him.
Honestly, he should have heard what he said about you as well. We'll send you.
I'm watching it after this.
Okay. The next one is, what's your number 1 pet or industry hate?
I hate Instagram for just, I'd say, false advertising, selling yourself.
Yeah.
Hate people who sell themselves. We're in an industry where you should be proud of what you're doing, and that passion for something that we do and we love should be the selling tool. A woman saying, look, I've had my nails done.
Yeah.
Or getting their arse out and saying, look at this product.
Yeah.
And same for guys as well,
Yeah.
There's times when you need to take your top off, times when you fucking really don't, and there's no point. That's my pet hate. Social media is like a great tool for business, and I love it, because without social media, I wouldn't have as many clients as I've got. I wouldn't have been able to go places in the world and have things that I physically own, because my business has grown from social media. But that does annoy me about it, that part.
I think it's pretty much, I don't know whether you'd agree, but I feel like social media now is a requirement if you want to do anything in this industry. There's not many people that don't have a social media following on one platform that are living a life of bodybuilding full time, is there?
Yeah.
Can't do the Dorian Yates.
No, definitely not. But I think that does go for every trade and profession,
Yeah.
I think if you're a successful business person, you've probably got a social media account that helps you get work. It's just a sign of the times, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so, actually, yeah. I'm not thought about it that way.
I think we just get sucked into this bubble of bodybuilding and think that that's it.
That's watching all the videos, the podcasts, the Instagrams, the Facebook stuff. It's intoxicating, isn't it? There's so much information to talk about.
Obviously, I play a bit of Warzone, and I watch more videos on YouTube of people playing Call of Duty than I do bodybuilding shit these days.
Mix, Tim the Tap Man,
Yeah, exactly.
all the fun ones.
But, without social media for them, there'd be no income, and they're on God knows how much.
Silly amounts.
Insane.
Makes me want to be a streamer.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
One day.
This has been quite a funny one, this question, because quite a lot of people have had some varying answers. But if you could name 3, what would be your top 3 Instagram accounts that you would follow?
Top 3.
When you turn your phone on every day and you look at Instagram, who are the first 3 that come up?
Well, Jordan always comes up. Got to follow the coach, and his journey is going to be very interesting to watch unfold with his announcement of lowering the drugs. So that's a top account. Flex Lewis. Now, Flex Lewis for me has been a role model in terms of how you should act as a professional.
Yeah.
Not just on his social media, but I've met him at various expos, and I just think he's got it. He's got the gift of knowing how to just talk and communicate with others and give everyone the time of day. One of the things that I've noticed about him, and every time that my missus has been with me as well, make sure he introduces himself and spends time to acknowledge the person you're with.
Yeah.
And you do find at expos a lot of the times that a guy will come and speak to you to be with his partner, and she'll be stood there like this. And she'll probably think, this is the worst thing I've ever been to in my life.
Yeah.
But if you take that one athlete to say, oh, and how are you? Like, are you into training or something? Just involve them.
Yeah.
Flex is like the master at that. So, yeah, that's something I've taken or follow a lot. And obviously, we can't not have Arnie on the social media account.
I don't follow him. I'll say that one.
I do, but I thought you were going to say The Rock then, because everyone seems to have a bit of a soft spot for his Instagram antics.
Yeah, The Rock's good. The Rock's good. I think The Rock's still like a bit of a salesman.
Yeah.
I'll let him do that for a bit.
A little bit longer. I mean, he's doing all right.
I think with Flex Lewis as well, he's not lost his whole nature of that. Like a lot of Brits are like that. Like I'll say Brits because I'm Scottish and I'll just say Brits, we're used to. Like that whole everybody treats everybody the same.
Yeah.
Like that kind of Wales and most Scotland are quite similar in that way kind of thing. You get some places that aren't, but if you treat me like I treat you, then we'll get along kind of thing. He's got a lot of that nature.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it seems like a decent guy. Obviously never met him, but maybe one day.
One day.
This is a new one. We haven't asked anyone yet, but I thought I'm interested. And a couple of people we've spoke to, actually, I might ask them if I ever have them on again. Well, we ever have them again. But what's the most surreal moment of your career? When did you go, fucking hell? Oh.
It was it's probably winning the Pro Box. You know, having put your time and effort and money into something for so long. And then it actually coming to fruition it took a long time to settle in, to be fair. And to be honest with you, it wasn't expected, but I don't know whether I think about this a lot, or have thought about it a lot in the past, but every show I've done, I don't know if it's because I'm a good sportsman or because I didn't expect to get there because of my stats, etc. That I always took defeat very well.
Yeah.
Always took it gracefully. You know, to the point where the people who travelled with me, my wife and my mum, were kicking up a right stink, and I just like, calm down. You know, it is what it is. It will happen next time.
Yeah.
So when I went to Italy, I went by myself because I said to the wife, I said, we've got the Amateur Olympia in the UK in October when I come back. So we just want to take as many chances as we can, but it's probably not going to pay off. It's a show in Italy. It's going to be stacked. So I went by myself and got the win. I was like, got to ring. So I rang the wife up and I said, we did it. And she goes, what time are you back on stage then? Thinking that I've been on for pre-judging.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I won. And she goes, what? I said, yeah, I won the pro card. So obviously that was that. And it took a long time. Pause on the phone call, and that was very surreal. We'll never forget it.
Yeah, I can imagine that'd be a hell of a moment, hell of a phone call to make as well, especially if it's not televised or anything like that. It's kind of like shit.
Crazy.
Do you think that obviously in Britain and Europe they don't give a lot of pro cards out, but in the US you're getting pro cards like ridiculous amounts at shows? Do you think that kind of cheapens the pro card, or like as in like the British and Europe ones are harder to get, or kind of thing it's more of a challenge?
I think if you ask someone in Europe whether they give too many pro cards out in Europe, they'd say yes. I don't think many people understand or know how many they give out in the US. They give a fucking load out, like you say. And I think it's still in some shows where they give out top 2 or top 3 in a class.
Yeah.
I'm Von Moga one from the end of last year.
Yeah, there was like 40 pro cards given for all the classes. It's like,
so
that definitely cheapens it, because you know you'd want to win to get that. Me personally, I wouldn't want to come third and get a pro card, because it's great, but that definitely cheapens it.
I think if you're in the US, you know that the 2 shows that are recognised are the Nationals, and then there's the USAs. They're the 2 different shows, right? So they're like the British finals that we would used to have done. Now, what people say about the European shows now, about there's too many and it's watered down and it's easy to get a pro card, it's still not fucking easy, because you've got athletes traveling from all over the world. They're international shows with a high caliber of athlete, and you've got to be in it to win it. So anyone who has a pro card, fair fucking play. Yeah,
because I think the likes of Regan and stuff, he always comes over to Europe to do more shows than he does in the US, kind of thing.
He must be the most well-travelled bodybuilder going.
Yeah, why not? When you're young and you've got no ties, see the world, do it.
I definitely watched his story.
Fantastic businessman, so I think travelling and documenting his journey day by day is part of his business.
Yeah, seems like, obviously we've never met him in real life, but he just seems like a proper down-to-earth sort of, young lad, in all honesty, on my life and enjoying the fruits of it.
He's that chilled out. You'd think he was like permanently smoking a joint. Backstage of the British, we was just about to pump up. I think the lady came through to give us 10 minutes till stage warning, and he's laid down with his head propped up, eating chicken and rice, and next to his Tupperware is 3 Snickers bars. I said, "When are they for?" He goes, "Oh, before I go on." Oh god.
No.
Yeah, I think all the Canadian guys seem very, very down to earth and all that. They seem like they don't take a lot of things too seriously. Like they take their careers obviously, but then they're able to have a laugh and a joke and a bit of carry on kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I messaged Fuad to ask him to come onto the podcast, in for a penny, in for a pound. And obviously he said no, but he did actually reply, which I wasn't expecting. I was expecting to just go into the spam folder and see you later. But, it's nice. I think, I wasn't expecting that reply from him.
Yeah, he's a good guy. And I think most of the pros, if you ever message them, you'll get a reply.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we're not too bad. We're not as scary as we look.
Well, I think we've got probably altogether, including the ones we've done, we've got 20 people from the industry that, in all honesty, I didn't expect anyone to say yes, let alone, some of the ones that we've had that obviously we watch on YouTube and watch the podcasts and all the Instagram and stuff. We know that everyone's just a normal person, but everyone's also busy. It's been difficult trying to get 2-3 podcasts in a week, hasn't it, Jason? Trying to get all the background stuff done.
I was really surprised we got Rich from Strom. He was on last night before. In fact, that guy's just super busy 90% of his day, kind of thing. But we managed to kind of sneak an hour, over an hour, which was quite good.
A couple of interesting people coming on as well. Obviously, yourself, Jamie. I was like trying, putting little stories on. When Josh came on, I was like, "Josh, do me a favour, please ask him."
No worries. I've always got time for people that are passionate about the industry and just interested in it. Really, it's nice.
As much as this is for other people to listen, for them to understand the path, it is a bit fanboy for us as well. It's kind of like, we enjoy it. We both train. you know, I'm competing later in the year. I don't expect to do very well, but I'm just doing it because I enjoy doing it. So that's what it is. Right, we've got a couple of questions we got off Instagram.
Okay.
First one is, what sort of impact do you feel that your height has on being a bodybuilder? The pros and cons.
What impact?
Yeah.
Makes people say, "What the fuck is that?" I get called big fella all the time. Always have them. And it's not going to stop, probably until I die. I think it's, obviously the con is that I got to fucking just keep filling out the frame. That's always the feedback, is you just need more. You just need more. More hamstring, more back, more this, more that. They'll never be satisfied. I'll be 330 pounds on stage. I'll still say, you could do a bit more, because my frame can hold it.
Yeah.
The positive is obviously the impression that it makes when you walk out on stage, that you're different and you stand out. So if you have the mass, and you don't need to be the biggest, but if you have a level of mass that is in comparison to the height kind of wow factor, you're always going to get looked at. And in terms of bodybuilding judging, that's all you want. You want to be looked at. So it's nice. It creates an element of, it just draws eyes, which is the first thing that we need in order to get judged.
I will say, Jamie, that the first time I seen you was at the Spanish, the one that James Hollingshead won.
Yeah.
And I was like, who the fuck is that? It's like everybody's here, then you're like here. It's like, fucking.
It's a bit strange. Like, a lot of the times I forget how tall I am until I kind of watch videos and stuff like that. It was a bit odd.
But they have to put the sets that slight bit higher when you're competing at the day.
Yeah. Well, as an amateur, it was a big drawback, because I wasn't as big, I wasn't as didn't fill my frame out as much as I have now. But I think as an amateur, what you haven't got is you haven't got the judges looking at you in terms of what you bring as a professional.
Yeah.
Now, as a professional, being tall in the industry creates a certain buzz. So I think you've got more market value as a professional. As an amateur, none of that is considered. You're just viewed as a physique. So I always thought that because I needed to fill out my frame, I was always beaten by a shorter guy with a thicker muscle.
Yeah.
I just think that the tables have turned slightly now. I'm a professional. Obviously, I'm a little bit bigger as well, which helps. But there's definitely that element of, he's also got a profile. He's also marketable. He's also this. That definitely helps.
Is there anyone who's in the IFBB at the moment? I know you're the tallest, but is there anyone close to your height?
There's actually
Cedric, not quite tall.
I think Cedric's 6'2", so he's a tall guy, yeah. Not in the open class, but there's actually a guy in the classic physique who is in Spain, who's actually 6'6". He's like an inch taller.
Jesus.
I was like, you wanker, but made sure I had a few photos with him and just, made sure I was bigger and
toes.
Out angle.
Yeah.
Okay. I've heard you talk about it before, like on some of the podcasts and stuff, because I've been watching the UK Pro Model, UK Pro Bodycast for I think it was when Luke Sandow was on it. Ages ago, because I Bodybuilding Bollocks, I found it 2 weeks into it starting.
Yeah.
Before it was even called Bodybuilding and Bollocks, it's a random one. And I remember Luke coming onto the podcast. I've just been watching it since then, because obviously you and Cuba as well, who's coming on the podcast too, and I just kept up with it. It interests me. I think UK bodybuilding interests me more because it's closer to home. It's people that you can relate to in some ways with the backstories, that sort of thing, and names as well. This one.
I'll ask this one, Tom.
You ask this one.
Right.
I can't be PC enough.
I changed this question, but it was about that bench press video, the one everybody's seen.
Oh, right.
But I changed it to say, what do you think about like bro lifting, and do you think that actually has an impact on people's perception of bodybuilding, that they're just saying, oh, they're big thugs that just bench all these big weights rather than kind of the aesthetic side of it?
Well, let's call bro lifting progressive overload.
Yeah.
Because I think progressive overload gets a bad rep by a lot of people. I spoke about in a recent JP video, because I just think it's understood what progressive overload actually means.
Yep.
I think progressive overload, people relate quite often to Jordan. They see him lifting these stupid weights and they're probably thinking, how the fuck is he not injured something yet? But they do know somebody who's chasing weights that's got injured, thinking they're doing progressive overload. But I did discuss after the incident on the incline bench that progressive overload is actually the safest way to train.
Yeah.
There's always going to be risk, especially when you get stronger and your goals get bigger and you start pushing boundaries. There's always going to be risk in anything in life, especially training and lifting weights. But with progressive overload, you have a logbook, you have a set routine that you will repeat week after week after week, session after session. So you are practicing and perfecting movement patterns. You're not going into a gym willy-nilly and choosing a different exercise and apparatus each week. These exercises are fucking built up over a series of weeks and months. My current routine I've been doing since November. So every exercise I do is just like pretty much perfected, but still progressing little by little. So bit by bit, each week, each session, my muscles are also adapting. The range of motion set. I'm warming up systematically, methodically, and doing everything I can to eliminate as much risk as possible. If I feel anything that's untoward, a bit weird, a bit off, I'll just skip the exercise. I'm not going to push it this week, because we spoke about in the video me and Josh did, it's a base of risk reward. With huge risk, there might be a huge reward, but when the risk starts going up, the risk reward basis definitely levels out. And as pros or as aspiring bodybuilders, we need to be very careful what risk we take on. And in my opinion, watching the YouTube video, the guy lifted 4 plates like comfortably. Could have been a little bit better range of motion, but it just shown that he was quite stiff and not very flexible. So his mobility was poor. But then going from 4 plates to 5 plates is a different ballgame.
Yeah, because you should have done maybe 4.25, 4.5, and then built that up to 5 kind of thing. It's
not like adding a plate aside to a squat. When you're on a chest press, it's a completely different animal. So
the weakest part gives up first, doesn't it, at the end of the day?
And that is what progressive overload is. It's small increments. Sometimes we'll add 1.25 kilos aside, which it took me a long time to get my head around, to be fair, because I didn't want to add anything less than 10 kilos. It works mentally.
Get to a point where you're stuck at a weight. 1.25 might sound like a lot, but you still gained weight or gained a rep or however you do it.
I use this as an example as well. I'm doing the incline bench press at the minute. I have done since November, as I said. I got a PR a few weeks back. My goal was to lift 180. I've never done it before. I must point out it's a very steep incline bench, my bench. I can't cheat on it, but I did it. A 1 rep max. I probably had 2 in there, but I just wanted 1 rep. And there's that question around 1 rep maxes for bodybuilding not benefiting us at all. But my set prior, this wasn't the first set in the exercise. My set prior was 5 reps at 167.5. So I'd added 12.5 kilos to do 1 rep. I know from the set before I'm pretty safe.
I think that's where people are getting mixed up, because a lot of people used to think that Dorian used to just go and do 1 set and leave. Whereas he wasn't. He was building that up. The same with JP. JP will probably do so many build-up sets to get near that weight and then go, right, I'm warmed up enough that I can hit this weight. So it's like that's part of the problem as well. They aren't seeing the build-up. They're just seeing the big lift.
And I know, obviously, watching videos before with yourself and Jordan and other people talking about it, with progressive overload, there is a point with an exercise where you can't go any further at that point in time, and swapping it out for, say, at the moment you're doing your incline bench and you swap over for a flat bench or a flat dumbbell instead, because you've got to the point in that exercise that, you know, you're stuck at 180 for one rep and you can't go any heavier. So it's time to swap it out and go for something different, which I think a lot of people don't understand that side of it.
Or even reverse banding it or something like that, something that'll change it up a bit.
There's always something. But I think in terms of safety and eliminating risk, if you do it correctly, it's definitely the one.
Yeah, and not training with Larry Wheels.
Don't train with Larry Wheels. Yeah. I think there's a meme, wasn't there? Train with Larry and get fucked up or something like that.
Well, we were actually talking about in a previous podcast about imagine if Chris Bumstead tore his bicep rather than Callum Von Moger when he done that crazy bicep curl. That would have changed everything. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like that's why I think a lot of these younger ones. I'm saying younger because I'm 30, but like they need to think about that. They need to think about the long-term hassle of doing these Instagram lifts.
You imagine if that had happened, whether Callum Von Moger would have ended up being Mr. Olympia rather than Chris Bumstead.
Yeah, you don't know, do you?
No.
Well, that's what we're talking about here is like we're one injury away from a career-threatening injury.
Yeah.
It's big risk.
Yeah, definitely at your level.
Yeah.
Right, I've got one last question. I'm just asking it because I said I would, but what competitions Josh getting his pro card in this year?
I know he's doing a few, but I don't even know whether he's told people what shows he's doing.
He hasn't. He hasn't. That's him trying to get the scoop.
That wasn't me. I'm just asking it from my coach.
I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but I do 100% believe that he will get his pro card this year.
Yeah.
Which will annoy me because then I won't be the tallest.
I said that.
That's what he said in the podcast. He said you're kind of hoping a little bit that he won't.
Do you ever wind them up? How much do you wind them up about the Harry Potter thing?
I just find it so interesting that somebody like Josh is that into Harry Potter. Like the geek factor is out of control.
if anything, Lord of the Rings is better, you know. But I wasn't going to say that to him.
I don't wind him up. I'm kind of in awe of the fact that he likes it so much.
Yeah, it does seem a little bit out of character, but I guess just because someone's tall and massive doesn't mean that they, you know, that their mindset has to go with that as well.
Definitely not. You know, you don't know what anyone's into these days. There's some weird people out there. Not calling Josh weird, but you know, I've heard of stranger things.
Oh, right, there's the title for.
There's the title, yep. The advert. Right, we've got another question. Sorry, that Tom forgot. Do you think that hard work or genetics wins out? What one do you think? Because obviously you can work hard, have slightly good genetics or have perfect genetics, but still work kind of hard, but be a bit lackadaisical. Do you think? What one do you think would give the better physique?
I think in the end, the one with okay genetics and hard work will win.
Yeah.
Because the one with really good genetics will only be able to get so far. There will become a time when the hard-working guy will surpass the genetically gifted. That's my view. If obviously someone with genetics works fucking hard, they're going to win all the time.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people that have been better than me at points, and I've overtaken them. And I look back and I look on social media and think, where the fuck did you go? Because you had the genetics to go so much further. And it's just, you find this with a lot of people in bodybuilding, especially at mine and Josh's heights. They don't do anything but just give up.
Yeah.
I think if I can, because I get asked by a lot of tall people, how do you get so big? I'm sure Josh is the same. My answer to them is always, it just takes longer. There's no special formula. There's no secret exercises. We need to eat more because we have a bigger body mass. And it takes longer to fill out a frame because it's bigger. It takes longer to build a big ass than a fucking small ass, right?
Yeah.
It's simple. It just really is a matter of time. That's it.
You applied that comment to me when I asked you how you thought you were going to win the next show or get... I can't remember what it was now. It was a comment about Spain anyway. Just what do you think you could have done better? And I think you gave the same answer. And I think it makes perfect sense. You know, time, and especially if you've got the amount of food you must eat is probably,
it's hard. Food has always been the hardest aspect of bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Not everybody's born with an 8,000 to 10,000 calorie a day appetite. Not many people are. And to do that consistently day in, day out for months and a whole year is very different to someone saying, oh, I bet I can eat what you can eat for a day.
Yeah.
Do it for a fucking month, mate. Then tell me how easy it is.
How do a food challenge 12 months in a row.
How did you find it, Jamie? When obviously I don't know how it was in England, but up here it's like at the first lockdown, it was like tumbleweed when you went to the meat section in supermarkets.
Yeah, it's difficult. We got by. We just like scattered around everywhere, to be fair. We was fucking going to several supermarkets. Luckily, we get our shopping online from Ocado, but even that was like scarce and hard to get an appointment most weeks. But yeah, we just got by. I've actually got, from the first lockdown, some emergency tuna that I never had to eat. So I didn't do too bad.
Yeah, I was about the same as well, Jason. I think as it was announced, I just went straight to the shop, bought loads of frozen chicken and thought, well, if I've got to have it, then I'll just whack it straight in the freezer and hope for the best. Probably still got some of those left as well. One more that's not on the list that I'd want to ask. I've watched some of the more recent podcasts again recently. I quite enjoyed the Victor Black one.
Yep.
UK Pro Muscle. But who was your favourite guest on any podcast that you've been on? Obviously, I know you've been on multiple, but anyone that you've spoken to on a podcast, who do you think was your favourite person to chat with? And, whether it's because they were knowledgeable or just because you were interested in their story or they're just fucking hilarious.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, the most fun I had on a podcast was the one I did with Ron and Dusty.
Yeah. Because
it was very relaxed and we just had a fucking laugh. That's the one that springs to mind straight away.
Yeah, that's what we've got. That's the main we've got, me and Tom, kind of thing, just like almost like pals talking kind of thing, like no quite big structure, just shooting the shit, you know what I mean? That sort of
works. It works. I think if it's scripted, that's when it can get a bit clunky and maybe pauses. If it's natural conversation, it's just going to keep flowing.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's right. We try to script it a little bit in some places, or not even script, but just sort of say, well, we'll do this, we'll do that. But it's better just to ask the questions and be interested. And you can tell when someone's on it and they're not as interested as other people. Yeah, I think it's definitely, it's fun anyway. I'm enjoying it. I don't really care who listens to it. I like asking the questions and getting the answers personally. But that's all my questions done. Don't know whether you got anything, Jason.
I've just got one final one, Jamie. If people want to follow your preps for this year or that, where can they find you?
So Instagram is AK the Giant. Most of my content's on there. If they are subscribed to the JP website, obviously my videos are on there as well. I'll put on my log every day what I'm up to, what my diet is, what cycle I'm on, all the kind of intricate details of prep goes on there. So I think that site's $8.99 a month, so it's not a lot. And the wealth of knowledge on there from myself and other athletes it's worth its weight in gold, to be honest. So if anybody's not on that site, I stress them to I think there's a free trial for a month, so you might as well take up the free trial and see what it's about. And that's it, really. I'm not one for Twitter or Snapchat, or that's for the young kids. I got too much on my plate looking after Instagram. So we'll leave it at that. Oh God.
Right, I'll link all them down below in the blurb.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, thanks so much for coming on, man. Really appreciate it and really enjoyed it.
No worries. I've had a pleasure. And Jason.
Yeah.
Keep the hair.
Thanks, man.
It can't be worth it.
Do all your games of Warzone tonight, mate.
I will do, man. Thanks, boys.
Right, cheers. Thanks, Jamie.
See you later, guys.
Hey, guys. Thanks for watching the episode. Hope you liked it. If you did, please like and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to follow us on social medias, either me, Tom, or the guest, they will all be below. And again, thank you for watching this podcast.